So to start from the beginning, when you put it on your tractor, you're a category 2. It is quick hitch compatible if you have a quick hitch, but when you're putting it on your 3-point, you're going to adjust your center link to level this bar. So this big 7x7 bar, right now, you don't need a level, you can just eyeball it. Right now, it's going to be close, so you'd probably be all right, but if you wanted to, you can see it's tipped forward just a little bit. So if you wanted to tip it back, you're just going to extend your center link, and that's how you're going to adjust your bar.
Would you literally use a level to get to that?
No, you don't.
Just eyeball it.
Just eyeball it is more than fine.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be perfect. So.
Okay. Yeah, just close.
Yep. And then your seed box here, to disengage your seed meter, you got a latch on the back. This is holding your seed box on, the latch on the back.
Does that flip forward or something?
Yep. So that grabs on back there. Take that off, and then your clutch is here. You need
But I mean this whole box?
Yep, but first we need to disengage the clutch here because it's still grabbing your corn meter. You'll lift up just a little bit and then pull out. Sometimes a little bit of friction in there. And to re-engage it, you're just going to flip it up and out, and now your box is tipped forward.
Oh,
And I've got your bean meters in there right now.
okay.
And then it'll come right off there.
Oh, yeah.
And I got everything in there. So each unit has their own clutch, so you got to remember to make sure that's engaged on both of them. If you engage the first one but you forget the second one, every chain is going to be turning, but it's not going to be turning your corn meter underneath.
It'll be feeding the corn to plant.
So when you come back to put more corn seed in there, any row that didn't have the clutch engaged, you're still going to have a full seed box of seed in there.
Got it.
So your corn meter on here right now. To switch corn meter to bean meter, you're going to take the 2 wing nuts off, take the whole meter off, and then your bean meter is going to go on in the same fashion. The ridge sits inside the middle little lip there. If the bolts go in easy, it's on right. The bolts will stay right with the box, so it's pretty foolproof.
It's just these ones that you flip.
Yep. Yeah, it's the bolts will be right there. I don't have a box without the meters on right now, but
yeah.
Yep. And then the next meter is going to sit on just the right way. Those bolts, if they go in easy, it's on right.
There's only one way you can put them on, right? Yeah.
And then your corn meter is your finger pickup corn meter. Inside, it's going to look like little metal flags, and then you got this is going to keep all your seed at a nice even spacing. And then this is your brush bean meter. So,
what does that mean, the brush?
So that's just a term that they use, brush bean meter, since it's using a brush versus the old plate planters. So the small cell is for your small seed. So that's your brassica. The red plate, small cells. Your soybean plate has larger cells, so that's going to be your larger soybean seeds.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they're going to plant at the same population. You're going to be planting about 150,000 soybeans per acre. And also at 150,000 seeds per acre, whether it's brassica or sorghum or something else. 150,000 there. So that's not going to be thick enough typically for a brassica. So if you go across 2 or 3 times, you can plant as heavy as you want to that way.
Yeah. Could you plant clover with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Same situation.
Yeah.
Clover is going to be pretty thin if you just go across once. But yeah, basically you're just matching up seed size. Any small round seed you can plant with this. Because it's
do these go on here or what?
Yep. These wing nuts, they'll come off, and your plate will go right in there, and then just snug up your wing nuts.
Okay, so if I want, now which does it face in or out?
In. So your cells, they're going to be
face like this.
Yep, just like that.
Like that.
So that your cells are on the inside where your seed is going to be.
Yeah, and same this one. This one would fit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you'll switch each seed box over to your corn and bean meters.
So what's this now?
So that's your other one. Each seed box is going to have a meter.
Is that a corn meter?
Nope, this is just like your bean.
Oh, that's another bean. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I gotcha. Okay.
And I'll show you on this one where we got the seed box off. This is going to be your seed depth adjustment. This is your most frequent adjustment you're setting. This T-handle back here, it is, and these are your depth wheels, your gauge wheels on the side. So these are what is setting your depth.
Okay.
Your planter unit's going to keep trying to push down until your gauge wheels bottom it out. So the T-handle, it's going down and it's going to be adjusting this little rocker down here, and these wheels are going to keep going up until they hit that. So if we pick that T-handle up, you can set, for food plots, you can just set both units at about the same depth. In a farming operation, we're going to go dig up each row and just each row independently. Deer plots, you can just set them on the same setting. You're going to be about the same.
Yeah.
Your fertilizer, you've got a stainless steel auger in the bottom, cast iron auger with stainless steel metering parts. And I can have another one off, but so I can pull this one forward here. Clips on the side if you want to take them off. And then you'll take this chain off here, and then you can take the box off fully. Same thing when you're putting back on, kind of just sit it on here, get that chain on, and then you can drop it into place.
Is there a hinge or something back here that it pops out
So
of?
they kind of got these tabs
Or
here.
it's just a tab?
They sit underneath,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
just drop it on.
Pretty
those
simple.
pegs.
Yeah.
This rod here, it's just bent in the back here. So to clean it out at the end of the season, which is very important, we'll just pull this pin out, this rod out, and that's this rod here. So by pulling that out, it's gonna pull these out, this angled shield, that's just gonna come right out very easy. And then I like to recommend just an air hose to clean it out is fine. Some people like a pressure washer. I try to keep dry fertilizer as dry as possible.
Yeah.
Because anytime it gets wet, it's real hard on things.
Yep.
And then it's not another thing if a guy wants to go the extra step, your shaft is just riding on bushings on each side. So you can just take some WD-40 or any type of oil, squirt it on there, and then just kind of spin that shaft, work it in there a little bit. So for the next 11, 12 months,
Right,
you know,
right.
it's
Sitting
got
there.
some oil in there. It's got a chain tightener here. If you change sprocket size, so you've got 4 sprockets, and this here drive sprocket here. So to change sprockets, you can pull the cotter pin out here. This sprocket will slide off, and then you can switch it with one of the others. The rating is going to kind of be opposite. It's your small sprocket is your highest rate, and the large sprocket is your lowest rate. And we've got that on a chart for
The
you.
small one is the highest rate.
Yep. And we've got that on a chart here. So your 12 tooth is your smallest sprocket. That's your 200 pound. Right now we've got your 18 tooth on there. So you're at 150 pounds right now. That's kind of a pretty common one, but everyone's
Yeah,
pound is a little
yeah, that's
different.
probably what I'd go with anyway, so that's good.
And the big sprocket, we do have a few extra chain links on there. If you go to the big sprocket to do 100 pounds per acre, you'll need those couple extra links to put on there.
Oh, I gotcha. So it goes from 100 to 150.
100 to 200. Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah,
the next step up is 150, so.
Yep, 100, 150, 175, and 200 pounds.
So now, the tightener, does both of these move? Or which
Yep,
one
so
is the adjustment?
It's going to pivot right on the center bolt. So by twisting one down, the others are going to come up, and that's how it adjusts it pretty quickly.
But is either one of them movable or just one?
Yep, so over here, we've got the nut. You'll loosen that nut, and you can just twist those two, and they're both kind of going to twist that chain.
I'm not following that for sure.
It's mounted on the side there.
And
it just twists it like that.
It's one piece. Now
Yep.
I'm with you. Okay.
It's very important to clean that fertilizer out there. That's the most important thing we recommend with the fertilizer.
Absolutely. Definitely.
They're not cheap, and we've had people, they just finished up for the season, got done, put it in the shed, they left a few inches of fertilizer in there. They got back on the planter next spring to go plant and went straight to the field. They had 3 inches of fertilizer in there. It got wet.
It's a
and
problem.
It rock hard.
Shit.
And they ripped the meters right off the bottom of the box, and they had to buy new.
Now, is this the right chain tightness right here?
You know, most of your chains, you want some slop in there so that if there is a tight spot or anything, you're not bending anything. A loose chain is just, a little slack in your chain is just fine. You don't want it dragging down and, excessive slack so that you're rubbing on other metal or it's going to jump off a sprocket, but you want some wiggle room in there so it can play.
Now, what's this adjuster here?
That's just a tightener, a spring-loaded tightener.
Down here?
Yep. So that'll take care of its own anything there.
Okay.
Your fertilizer, this is your fertilizer tube, your drop tube.
Yeah.
That's going to drop down just a few inches next to your seed, which is where you want it. You don't want it inside your seed furrow because it's going to burn your seed.
Right.
Out of season, I like to leave them laying back there so they kind of keep that natural shape. So next spring when you throw it in, it keeps a little natural
tension on it. Yep. Okay.
9 out of 10 people don't have to mess with this, but I mention it to everyone. These are your closing wheels. Without them, you'd have a nice clean open trench from your seed discs and you'd be able to see every seed plant. These are collapsing that seed trench that it's cutting.
Right.
To get good seed to soil contact. You can adjust more or less tension on these packing wheels by screwing this bolt in or out. There's a spring inside and screwing that bolt in is going to stretch that spring.
So screwing the bolt in will put more tension and down pressure and closing it better?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Is it set about what you think is right now?
So a lot of the things on the planters, we're buying them from farmers, active using farmers. So pretty much everything on the planter is kind of set where you're going to be in typical situations. If you're on hard no-till ground, you might need to change it. Or if you're in a river bottom, sandy soil, maybe you want to take some off because it's all sand. It's not that packed.
Oh, I was just going to ask you. That's the holder for the tube.
Yep.
Okay.
And that'll keep that in place.
Okay. This runs the drive wheel runs this shaft.
Yep. So it's driving the shaft underneath, and then it's coming over to the side to transfer that drive on.
Right.
Your row cleaner's down here. This pin is going to adjust the height of your row cleaners. Your row cleaners are only intentionally designed to be moving the crop residue, the trash on top of the ground. You're not trying to be moving dirt with it and digging a trench or anything that way. So to get that set to about the right height, you can move this pin, and you've got a bunch of set of holes on the bottom.
You'd move it to this hole or this hole, you mean, or what?
So there's 3 runs of holes, and each run of hole is going to give you very small increments. So the next hole size down might be an 1/8 inch, and you might need to move it there. If you look to the side of it, you'll be able to see which ones are lining up first and where.
So let's see. If you would move it this way, you would be raising it up.
So it can go anywhere, but just kind of move it if you want it set there.
Oh, okay.
And if you're down there close and looking at it, you'll be able to see which one's where. So a guy can set that.
That was easier. That was easier than I thought it was.
Yep.
It would be.
And by having holes elsewhere, you can set it instead of 3/4 inch adjustments, you can do 1/4 inch adjustments. And then your But here, basically, again, they came from a working planter, so they're probably going to be set right where you want it anyways. But your no-till coulter, that can be adjusted up and down as well. By this bolt here, you'll take this bolt out, and your whole
unit
row
will
cleaner,
move up or down.
Yep, and then just recenter it on your holes. But you want to be at about the depth you're planting, which is where you're at. So you're probably not going to have to move that. Maybe you'll want to move your row cleaners a little bit if you need to. But again, they came from, that's where this farmer had them set. It's probably going to be pretty close.
Depends on the residue, but yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Your parking stands, once you have it on your tractor, you pick it up. You can take your parking stands, drop them out, set them aside, flip them upside down, or whatever a guy wants to do with them there. But those are just parking stands. Your down pressure springs here. These springs are going to help push your unit down in the ground. So it's got a set nut there, and same concept as your closing wheel. Screwing that bolt in is going to stretch that spring and push your unit down further. But you're already set pretty high on down pressure, so you can put a little more on there as you have some threads showing, but you've got quite a bit of down pressure on there as it is.
Same deal. Probably where he was using it.
Yeah, yep. And then one thing just to be aware of is the down pressure. What the down pressure springs are doing is it's transferring the weight of your bar into your row unit. So if you have so much down pressure and it is transferring more weight than you have on your bar, it's either pushing the unit down or picking your bar up, whichever happens first.
Which bar are you talking about? This one?
Yep. And your drive tire and your bar, they're locked in solid together. So if it's pushing your unit down so hard and the ground is hard enough that it's not able to push it down anymore, it might try to pick your bar up. That's going to be an issue if your drive tire starts skipping or not making good contact or just not driving in general. What happened is you've got so much tension in your down pressure that it started lifting this stuff up.
Then you'd loosen them?
You'd loosen them up, yep.
Okay.
You've got a heavy bar up front and a heavy drive wheel, so this is as heavy as we can make them. And I'm not saying it's going to be an issue, I'm just saying, I mentioned that because if you notice something, maybe a guy can do a quick problem solve there. But if you see problems like that, feel free to give us a call too, if you don't remember the answer.
Does that air have tire or is that solid?
Nope, this has air in it.
Does it?
And they take very little pressure to turn them. It's got good air in it, it's a good tire, but they could be flat and you'd still be able to drive because you're only driving 2 row units, It doesn't take much traction to turn that.
Okay.
But it's a good tire on there, so it's not an issue.
Doesn't look like it'd be a fun one to change.
It's not too bad. So you got 2 nuts on the side, just a 1.25 inch. Take those off, and this whole wheel's going to pop out if you take the chain off. So they are pretty simple to change, actually.
Easier than I thought when I looked at it.
Yep.
Okay, set cover pretty much.
And I'll go through so like I said before, I'm going to throw a lot of information at you just so you kind of hear everything once. But to recap the important things, when you put it on the tractor, you're going to adjust your center link to level this bar. Just eyeball it, it's just fine. Your seat depth is going to be your most common adjustment. Back is deep, forward is shallow, and that's really about it. Those 2 things are the most important things to worry on.
Level and figure out the depth.
Yep.
And yeah, I'd go 15 feet or whatever, and then check the depths and stuff and make sure it's dropping for starters. But
and especially on no-till, it's not a bad idea to, if you want to plant at 4 miles an hour, drive 4 miles an hour and then go check that speed that you drop at 4 miles an hour. Because let's say you're driving 2 miles an hour, everything's going to kind of work in.
different,
If
yeah.
you're driving 30 miles an hour, you're going to do just like
Fast.
what a boat does. You're going to skim across it all. So it's not a bad idea to check it at the speed you're wanting to drive.
You think is 4 a pretty good speed?
4 is pretty average, you know.
Okay.
At this seed rate, your books will recommend 3.5 to 4.5 miles per hour. So that's kind of your sweet spot. If you're driving slow, if you're driving fast, it's not going to matter because it's ground driven. However fast you drive, your meters are going to turn at the speed you're driving. So don't get too worried on the speed. As long as things are riding smooth back there, you're fine.
Yeah, I don't think my tractor, I think it's just got RPMs, but I'm not sure about that.
Just kind of a walking speed. You know, we plant ours at about 5 miles an hour because we like to cover some acres when we're out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, anywhere 4 to 5. You know, that's just a real quick walk.
What do you think that is RPMs?
It depends on the tractor.
Yeah.
Depends on the gear you're in.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
don't get too worried about it. However, you can plant at 1 mile an hour. If that's the speed you're comfortable going, it's going to
No,
drop
that's
speed
too
just
slow.
fine. So yeah, don't get too worried about it. That's a pretty wide range. 3 to 5 miles an hour. That's a very wide range.
Do you know the size of that hole, out of curiosity? I don't
Which
have
hole is that?
for the.
Could be ½ inch.
That's bigger than the ones that I got. I just have to get some clip pins for that.
Yep. You don't have a quick hitch? Or do you have a quick hitch? on the
No,
tractor?
just the arms.
Yep. And if you do ever decide to invest in a quick hitch, you wouldn't even need those pins as everything would be locked together. But yeah, otherwise, just a bolt or a pin, anything.
Yeah, well, have to figure out where I'm going to store it. Okay, well, is that pretty much the walk around?
That's about it, yeah.
I'm going to stop this and.